Welcome back, everybody, to the You Ask We podcast, the show where you ask the questions, they answer them, and I'm just the guy in the middle. Once again, we have an amazing episode for y'all. In fact, the first double header in You Ask We podcast history. It's about to be a wild one. The first guest is a 2022 Olympian, and she's been a member of the United States ski team since 2016. She competed on the World Cup tour with 5 World Cup medals and 4 World Championship appearances. And she's also completed 2 summer internships at BlackRock, which is really cool. And our other guest is a freestyle mogul skiing Eastern champion. He was actually the MVP in 2021, and he's coming out of Northeastern University, and right now he's a product manager at Bevy. I want to give a warm welcome to my two homies, Hannah Soar and Spencer Belsky. What's up, guys?
What's up, Evan?
Happy to
How we
be
doing?
here.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for coming. So, the first step, I mean, the way the show works is the first question always comes from me, and that's, what's new?
All right, Hannah, you're up.
That's a loaded question. What's new? I'm about to head off to Finland for the start of the World Cup season. I think it's going to be my 6th World Cup tour at this point, which is kind of wild. And so our first event is on December 3rd, I believe. But we head over for about a month long of preparation beforehand. And I actually just signed a job offer that starts next August. So I think this will be my last tour and my last trip to around the world. So we'll see. There always a little asterisks on that. You never know what'll happen. But at this point, it looks like this will be my last one.
I mean, that's great though. Like things are looking up, so that's cool.
Hannah,
Yeah,
can't
a
you
lot
tell
of
us more
a lot
about
of
your
fun things in
job,
the
or is it
future.
a secret?
It's a top secret job. No, it's an investment analyst out in Silicon Valley, out in California. And so
Nice.
that's exciting working with an endowment firm. So we'll see what the future holds.
That's awesome. Wait, so Spencer, what about you? You kind of dodged that question in the beginning there. Like, what's new with you?
Um, yeah, like I guess I've kind of been taking it somewhat slow, like not doing anything crazy. Like I'm not about to go on a World Cup tour, but currently I'm a product manager at Bevy. So I'm on a product management co-op, and I've been doing this since this past July. And Bevy is a really cool company where we're trying to consolidate the water bottle supply chain into one smart water dispenser. So basically, what the product is, it's like you can put different bibs, like bag and box, and that's how you get different flavors. And it's all naturally flavored water. But the catch is that you can also get all of these flavors in sparkling, or you can get them with different enhancements like electrolytes or caffeine or vitamins. And to date, the company's dispensed over 400 million, the equivalent of 400 million plastic water bottles. And it's just a great product. Like I go into the office every day and like I actually really like the drink. This past May, I completed my bachelor's in information technology, and right now I'm working on my master's in computer science. So next January, I'll go back to school. And yeah, I mean, that's like pretty much it. I'm looking for jobs and internships for next year, 2 more semesters for my master's. So I could go either way, an internship or a full time. Um, and yeah, no, life's good. I can't
Are you
complain.
sure you aren't a sales rep for Bebe?
You know, everybody's
I
telling
was
me I
saying, are
should.
you sure you're not a sales rep for Bebe?
Yeah, I
Sounds
gotta
pretty
make this
good.
clear with my viewers. We're not sponsored by Bevy
Well,
yet.
it's ironic too because I'm using my Soda Stream,
Yeah.
which is like kind of a
Oh.
competitor. Bevy doesn't have an at-home product yet, but stay tuned. Um, but I just really like bubbly water as well. So if I don't have a Bevy in my house, if I did, I'd be slurping the Bevy all day. But I'll make do with what I got.
Fair enough, fair enough. So yeah, y'all know how the show works pretty much. I gave people a chance to submit questions through Instagram and Twitter, and I got all of them here on my phone. Sorry, it's camouflage, but I got them all here. So we're actually starting off with two solo questions. Spencer, this question comes from Will. He said, "The Cambridge Strength kids miss you. When are you coming back?"
Oh man, I miss them too. So the Cambridge Strength Club is a gym that's actually in, I think it's actually in Arlington or Somerville, but it used to be in Cambridge and the name stuck. And it was just this gym I started going to over the summer. It's a powerlifting gym. And I guess like the reason like why I joined a powerlifting gym was because like we have this one gym at Northeastern called Marino, and it's a big meme because everybody knows Marino sucks. Like nobody goes to the gym to wait 45 minutes to use a squat rack, which is exactly what we have to do. And I have not gone back in probably at least since I've graduated. But so I started going to this gym over the summer before my co-op started. And once my co-op started, like work is kind of in the opposite direction of this gym. And also, so like I get to bike to work, and then my work also has a gym in the office building. So it's very hard to say, oh, I'm going to bike an extra 45 minutes completely in the opposite direction of work just to use that other gym. Also, because Bevy covers the cost of the gym for the most part. So it's like I'd be paying more money to spend more time to like, and like it was tough too, because I do want to see those people, but I've just gotten pretty busy. So I had to make a short term sacrifice. But once I go back to classes, and I actively avoid using Marino, I'll end up back in the Cambridge strength gym.
Yeah, I mean, listen, gym bros are important. So it's like, I mean, when someone leaves the gym, it's like everyone's just like, oh, when are you coming back? So I know the whole thing. But honestly, speaking of training, this is kind of a question for both of y'all. Like, this is kind of a two-parter for me, to be honest, because firstly, I'm kind of curious as to what freestyle mogul skiing is, like compared to like regular skiing. So like, what is that?
Hannah?
I would say you're the good summarizer and seller. Mogul skiing, I competitive mogul skiing has 2 jumps in the course. And so it starts with a few moguls at the start, and then there's what we call the top air. And then you land the jump right back into the moguls for the most part. And then that's where you have your long stretch of moguls. And then you have a bottom air, and then you have a short little section again at the bottom. It probably takes about 30 seconds, depending on the length and the pitch of the course at a venue. So it's definitely more of a sprinter's mentality, right? Because that course is only 30 seconds long. And we usually flip and twist on both those jumps, and you just can't repeat tricks. And you can't do like a double flip. So you couldn't do like a double back flip or a double front flip. But you can do cork 7s, cork 10s, back fulls. I like to think it's really in that hybrid position between like alpine skiing, where it's all like feet on the ground, technical carving, which we have within our mogul course in the mogul section, but then has a little bit more of that like park and aerials as well component, because we are flipping and twisting on those 2 jumps.
So it's kind of like a trick competition, but it's like 2 jumps. Like
yeah, and Spencer is now a judge these days, so he can explain how this sport is judged.
You didn't tell me that.
All right, so Eden, I'm gonna pull can I share my screen?
I mean,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hannah, you ready?
Give a tutorial.
Yeah? All right, Hannah, don't be too alarmed, but this is on YouTube.
So you see people putting their life on the line a lot more.
Yeah, it does. And honestly, it's like based on that, like being how like physically straining like it could be. Like I guess like my like the second part of like my 2-parter question is like how does training work for that? Like how frequently do you train? How do you train? You know?
Yeah, so Spencer and I both went to a ski academy high school, so that really set our foundation there. I joke, my friend Alex Lewis and I were the only 2 full-time students when I was a junior, so it was just us doing the workouts with our strength coach. And we joke, I'm like, I didn't feel my hamstrings for 3 months. Like I was completely out of my league as far as like working out 2 hours a day after school. Really getting into like the heavy lifting component of that is sport, that I think sometimes at the age of 16, like that can come on a little harsh. But it really set a great foundation, and Spencer and our team really grew into this more full-time team that really did take ownership of our off-season training and really push each other to be the very best on and off the hill, whether that was making sure that we like maximize the weight that we could lift in the gym in order to be more prepared for skiing and prevent injury. And I think I still carry that on to this day when I do my workouts, We usually have 6 workouts a week. Those tend to be like 3 strength workouts with a lot of sprints at the end of those workouts after the lift. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays, we tend to do a lot of like core and just making sure those little muscles are twitching, like your VMO on your knee, make sure you're tracking. As Spencer knows, avoiding the patella tendonitis, kind of making sure all those little movements are going. Pilates is great. And then we also do some longer aerobic cardio as well, because for us, we do compete multiple runs in a day. So although we're sprinting on like a duels day, I might ski 8 runs. So there is an aerobic component to get through the whole day. And those last couple of runs, they are the most critical. So you need to be as well prepared as possible. So yeah, it's kind of like a little debrief of where I'm at now, but I'm sure Spencer can speak a little bit more to like our KMS days specifically too, because those were pretty pretty crazy.
Take me back, right? The glory days. Yeah, no, I think Hannah touched on a good point that like it's really about that team. And like we were very lucky, I would say, that we all kind of ended up at KMS. Like it's very much one of those just like, I don't know if I would compare it to like an outlier situation, but we all were just like wanting to work hard and we were like really good friends too. So it was very easy and very fun to just show up and work and love it and push each other to be the best we could possibly be. And what one of our old coaches, I don't know if Chris or Glenn said it, but like kind of like referred to the bubble effect, where it's like when everybody's really bought into it, or we get on the bus. So like the bus is like you get on the bus towards your goals, and everybody on the team is accountable for making sure the other person is on the damn bus. And not like the bus is not for everybody too. You know, like not everybody wants to put in the hard work and buy into the team ethos of like going to bed early, waking up early, training hard, like training when it's not fun, like when you're water ramping for the 5th week in a row and it's cold and you're wet and like you don't want to put on your ski boots and hike up stairs all day to do the same 5 tricks you've been doing for the past 4 weeks. Like nobody wants to do that all the time, but it's about doing it when it's hard. And what we had at KMS and like what I think Hannah and I have been able to take away from our whole skiing experience is like being able to elevate your team is really important. Like how are you amplifying your teammates? Because the better I can make my teammate, the better they can make me. So being able to like experience that and know what that feels like is like so cool. And like it's still, even though like I'm not physically with the team anymore, it's like it's still very present, especially as most of us are transitioning into our professional careers now too. Like with Hannah starting this role, it's like that's awesome. And like we're all super proud of her. And like she's not the only person that's starting full-time jobs. Like we have another teammate, Calman, who's been working in New York for a year. And it's like, okay, like what's the next move? Like where are we going from here? So the training is just like there's the physical training, but then it's like what it really means. Like what it really means is just like, how are we bringing out the best in each other? And how are we calling each other out when we're seeing something that we know, I wouldn't say isn't right, but like we know the other person can do more. So it's like, how do you challenge them to dig deeper or like change?
So yeah, I mean, I think Spencer touched on a good point at KMS. It was like, I think we found a really healthy, and I'm, like anything else, there were some unhealthy times too. But a healthy balance of calling people out. Like if you see them skipping out on reps, being like, hey, don't do that. Like you're just cheating yourself. But on the flip side of that too, I think something that we really emphasized is, that threshold where you can be great. So like not everybody was going to go to the Olympics. Not everybody was going to ski on the World Cup tour. Not everyone was going to ski at a NORAM. But it's like basing all of our success as a team off of that individual. And if they were improving and if they were reaching their own goals, not just, oh, like if you never skied in a World Cup, like then you weren't great. I think we were really good about that. One example that always sticks with me is our friend Jess Cohen. She showed up to our team having really never mogul skied before. And at this point, our team already has people skiing on the World Cup tour, right? Like arguably some of the best in the world. And she shows up barely even having hit a jump before on a mogul course. And she just worked so hard, she nose to the grindstone, and really like improved. And no, did she ever ski in a World Cup? No. Did she ever make the US ski team? No. But she reached her own goals. And I think that we were all really along for the ride with her on that and celebrated her successes because she was being as great as she could be and she wanted to be.
Yeah, and with Jess too, it's like now she's doing amazing stuff on the Freeride World Tour, and it's like I don't
Yeah.
know. I dabbled a little bit in it last year, but like she made the finals, and now she's doing really well with a bunch of sponsorships she's getting from different companies. Like her post mogul skiing career, her post mogul skiing ski career is looking to be like, I don't want to say better, but like it actually is just like much better. Like she's killing it, and it's really cool to see that. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think that would have been possible if it wasn't for what she learned at KMS.
Agreed.
Honestly, it seems like all you guys strive for greatness out there. So that's awesome to hear, you know. It's awesome to see how everyone pushes each other and stuff like that. I mean, the closest thing I had to that was like me being on my high school basketball team. We all kind of pushed each other to be great, but no, end of the day, some people were on the bench, some people were the stars. But like, I feel like with skiing, it's more like everyone's in it together, and like I feel like that's really awesome. So that's great. That's great for y'all. And speaking of striving for greatness, Hannah, this is your solo question. Because Kyle's curious, what was it like representing America in the Olympics? Like, what was that like?
Um, it was probably the greatest experience of my life. I mean, it's a really crazy feeling working hard to achieve something and then being in the moment, being like, oh, wait, hold on, this is it. Like, I am living the moment that I've dreamt about for the past 15 years or so. So I try to be really present in the moment, and I do a lot of meditation for skiing and just being able to execute at a given moment in time. Like I think that's really hard. And I think meditation is a really great skill for that. And something else that meditation really taught me is like how to be present in that moment. Like how do you just sit there and be like, I am so grateful to be standing at the top of the course at the Olympic Games right now. And now I'm going to execute. So it's almost like, how do you sit there and almost be a kid in a candy store being like, oh, I just want to take it in. I want to remember all of these moments. But I'm also a professional athlete who wants to go win an Olympic medal right now. So how do I stay focused and not get caught up in all the fun things that are kind of surrounding you? Like you think about the Olympic Village, right? There's like artificial reality areas. There's pin trading with all these different teams. You can just walk around the village endlessly trading pins. You can go get your hair cut. You can go get your nails done. You can go do all these things. And so it can be easy to get distracted, I would say, especially as a first timer to the games. But you also don't want to be so focused in the moment of just wanting to win that medal that you don't appreciate all of those moments because you might never get them again. Like I'm probably not going to go to another Olympics because I'm going to go take this awesome job opportunity. So I'm so thankful that I was able to go and really enjoy it. And it was definitely like it was a COVID Olympics, which is like pretty crazy. I would love to go to one that's like not surrounded by the chaos that was COVID and the lead up to the games. That it was because of COVID and needing to be isolated and all of those other things that kind of went into it. But I would say like some of my favorite moments were going to LA before the Olympics, and we got all of our kits. We got like 7 luggage bags of gear and Ralph Lauren and Nike and Skims and our spider uniforms. And you're just like doing all this press, and you're like, and I'm getting on a plane that just says Team USA on it with all these Olympians on a red carpet. And you're like, that's so cool. You know, like those are really what I'm going to remember. And then I'd say like my other great moment more related to the actual athletics of it was just standing at the top of the course for my first Olympic run, being like, wow, like letting it sink in and be like, so much work has gone into this moment. So many people have gone into this moment, like Spencer included in a great amount. And just taking a moment to almost like thank all those people and be like, wow, like I wouldn't be here without all of that. And I'm about to become an Olympian. Now people get all bent out of shape. Like, do you become an Olympian? Like, when you actually compete, or to become an Olympian when you're named to the team. But for me, I felt like stepping into that gate and pushing out, it's like, this is my Olympic run. I'll never have a first Olympic run ever again. And just trying to be so grateful and excited about that moment, and just look down at your bib and be like, those are the Olympic rings. That's number 7 on my bib, number 9, whatever the heck it was, like, and you're just like, wow, like that's so cool, and just be really grateful. And realize that you've trained your whole life for this moment. There's no need to like get bent out of shape and try to do something you've never done before, because your whole life's work accumulated to you being here, and you're as prepared as you're ever going to be. And I think that was something that I really took away in life, was like the calmness that I felt during that Olympic run. It comes back to like being at KMS and not feeling my hamstrings for 3 months. And doing these ridiculous core circles where all of a sudden we're doing 50 V-ups, and I have no idea why, because I have no core and I'm 17 years old. I'm definitely just straining my lower back, and that can't be good for me. But I knew that I maximize my opportunities throughout, and whatever happens on this course right now is meant to be. And I prepared for this moment, and that's all you can really do.
Yeah. Spencer, you want to add anything on that, or?
I think the one thing that Hannah, there's nothing to add, by the way. Like that's like it's Hannah's story.
That is true.
But I think as someone who is like one of Hannah's teammates that didn't make the games, and like kind of touching back on that team thing, is like only 8 people go, like 4 guys and 4 girls go every 4 years. And like we were on a team of 16. So it's like we all knew like the end goal, even though we all had the same goal, like the odds of like us being the guy or the girl to go were very slim. And we were just one team across like I guess tens of teams in the nation, because mogul skiing is just a small sport. But when Hannah went, it was like almost like relieving for me too. And I know like a lot of people who were like a part of the journey felt the same way, because like it really is true. It's just like she's representing all of us, and it's like I did nothing to get her there. It was still all her. But the same way, like we all push each other to be the best we can be, we all celebrate someone else's wins too. And it's like we all got to celebrate the fact that she went, and like that felt so good, knowing that like I played like a very small part of that journey.
And I was listening to this podcast this morning. And I think it said it like really well. It was like this study, and basically you can tell how people feel about one, relationship, friendship, romantic relationship, based off if they use the word like I or we. And I think what Spencer's touching upon is exactly that. Like you can tell how strong of a unit we were, because it's like we almost went to the Olympics. Like, yes, I went to the Olympics, but like we all have some level of ownership of that. And my coach always joked, he's like, if you win an Olympic medal, you're going to have to divide that into like 1,000 different pieces and give each and every one a little sliver. And I think that's just a really good depiction of exactly what that is. Like, yes, it's your medal, but like you hope at the end of the day, you want to divide that into thousands of pieces, because so many people have touched, that part of you and helped create that moment for you to share. And you have to give that back to them too. Like that's something that I always wanted to share. Like the greatest thing for me was coming back to the Killington community after the Olympics, because it felt very much like we went to the Olympics. We, the Killington community, like we own that as a group.
Beautiful. That's wonderful. And this next question actually comes from Becky. She's
Becky.
Actually Becky the boy. Shout out to her. But yeah, she's just curious because like, you guys did all this competition and all this stuff at like a pretty young age, like overall. So she's kind of curious, how did you guys handle the pressure to be great from such a young age, in a sense?
I'll start. I didn't. I threw up before every event when I was a kid. Spencer, your turn.
At first, I didn't know I was competing. Like literally, I don't remember my earliest competitions because I was 9. So like it was just, I was at Hunter Mountain and I knew my grandma was at the bottom of the course with a little video recorder. And like those videos are actually still there of me, just like my parents were basically, it's like when you're on a slide and a little kid and you don't want to go, but your dad just like pushes you down anyways. Like same thing. Like I don't know who was at the top of the course, but they were just like, go. And I went and I was like, oh, this is fun. And like I won my age group, but nobody told me there were only 2 kids in my age group. And like the other kid like didn't make it down. Like, but it's fine because it was fun. So like when we started, like it was just like a fun thing to do. We competed because our friends were at competitions. And then like I didn't throw up before every course. For a good amount of time, I had this one comp routine where I would play the song "Do You Feel Like We Do" by Peter Frampton before every single comp run. And Chris, one of the coach from the Killington team, he would always be like, "Do you ask everybody's permission up there at the top to do that?" I was like, "No, like I didn't care." And like to be fair, if I like took my stuff way seriously and somebody else was just playing this like really long jammy song, probably would have pissed me off to no end. I ended up like doing some sports psychology for a bit. And honestly, like for a long time, I did not handle the pressure well. Like when I went from the regional level to the NORAM level, like there was a streak of like 2 or 3 seasons where I just was way more focused on getting down than skiing my best. And the results reflected that. Like I would train pretty well and just not compete well at all. And it almost cost me like a couple big NORAM tours. And it actually did. Like I probably could have made the NORAM tour a year earlier if I had executed in one run at US selections, and I didn't. And then I didn't ski in a NORAM for like another year. And that has a big impact on the trajectory of your career. But it wasn't until like I ended up moving back to Killington after Steamboat where I really just like focused on the skiing. It's like it's not that deep. Like we're just here to have fun. Like remember why I was skiing, and then it was like night and day. And it's like I don't know. I really don't know what it was. I just like subconsciously something changed to my approach, and it was just like, all right, like I'm just gonna ski. Like this is really like it's not a big deal. Like try and channel that kid who was 9, just like going because it was fun, and that was it. So like I don't know. Like the pressure is like what like competitions mean a big deal. It's like we invest a lot of time and energy, but it's also just skiing at the end of the day. And when it stops being just skiing is when you need like that's probably when you perform your worst, and it's probably when like you need to reevaluate your approach to it because it can never be more than just skiing. Like there's way bigger fish to fry all the time.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I'd say for me, like touching upon like what Spencer was basically saying, like, you know, different trajectories throughout my career. Obviously, I alluded to the fact that I used to throw up. And I would basically like why like when I think back on like why was I doing that? It's because I felt pressure to make it like worth driving to like Sugar Bush on the weekend. Like I felt like there was a lot riding on it. Like when Spencer talked about it's just skiing, like it is just skiing. But when I was a kid, I was like, I don't want to disappoint my parents. They're spending their whole weekend to do this, you know, whatever. But then every time I would throw up, crazy enough, I would win the event. So then I would, at the end of the day, be like, my dad would be like, see, like, you're fine. Like, you're all fine. Like, you're happy. You're with your friends. That was the most important part about all of this. And so once I got over the fact that I wasn't going to disappoint my parents if I lost, which was never true, that was definitely just a construct in my head. I was able to just enjoy skiing, which was fine for a while, right? So then you're fine, you're enjoying it. You get a little nervous, but it's okay. And then as Spencer says, you get to that next level where you start competing internationally. All of a sudden, we're flying to this event. So those feelings start to come back into me, being like, this was an expensive trip. I've trained so hard, so many hours. What if I don't execute in these exact 30 seconds that I need to? And it was all a quote unquote waste. And so that's when I had it start more going for that sports psychology approach. And at that point, I was on the US ski team. So I had those resources at my fingertips. It was just about tapping into them. And something that's really helped me, and I believe is the reason why I went to the Olympics, was being able to learn to accept the feeling of being nervous about a situation, wanting to do well, whatever those external feelings are, acknowledging it, and then focusing my attention and aiming my attention at the things that are going to help me succeed at that goal that are actually tangible. So for mogul skiing, it's thinking, I want to crash, I want to qualify for the Olympics, so therefore I want to get a podium today, whatever it might be. I don't want to tear my ACL today. It could be anything. And then you say, okay, what can I do to achieve that goal? And mogul skiing is something technical. It's going to be like, I want to be on my downhill ski, hit my extension on the cork before I go in and raise my right arm, whatever it might be. And then I aim my attention at that and clear my head. And you just go through that cycle as many times as something negative pops into your head. And as Spencer was talking about before, a lot of us are starting to move into more like career, professional career like things in business or whatever it might be. And I even feel those skills come back in that setting as well. Like at BlackRock, for example, we do the classic intern presentations. And this year we were going over to Jane Street to give a presentation. And obviously, like, I'm nervous. We're heading over with a lot of BlackRock people to go meet a lot of Jane Street people. They're telling me that they're the smartest interns on Wall Street. And I'm like, that is not what I want to be hearing now. I am not a math whiz, and we're going into their building to talk about options trading. I'm like, that doesn't sound like something I should be doing right now, but okay. So obviously I had a lot of nerves about that and being like, oh, I want to be my best. I want the return offer. I want this, I want that. And then being able to say, okay, that's fine. But what can I do right now to help me succeed to achieve these goals that I have, right? And that might be looking at that Bloomberg terminal one more time to have those numbers under control, reviewing the presentation one more time with my partner. It can be whatever those are. And then, when you walk into the room, you say, as I did at the top of the Olympic course, like, I'm as prepared as I can be. I did X, Y, Z. All I can do right now is clear my mind and execute and keep these couple things in the back of my head. And so I think it's a really great way to keep clarity of thought in really stressful situations that transcends more than just mogul skiing. And you can carry that into a career that does involve maybe a couple high stress scenarios, whether that's just like giving a talk to your team, or going to present on a big stage about something that you're maybe not super comfortable doing. So I think that at KMS and on the USP team through professional athletics, you really do learn how to channel during a high pressure situation to be your very best. Because Spencer talked about this too. It's like, it's not about just giving your intern presentation and being like, okay, I got that done, or like getting down the mogul course without crashing. The best in the world are able to perform at their very best under the highest stress situation. So you didn't just achieve something, you did it the very best time it mattered most.
Yeah, I feel like an important thing that athletes tend to forget when it comes to like dealing with pressure is that it's really all for the love of the game. And they're all just like doing it because they love the game so much. Like, I don't know if you guys watch basketball, but there's this rookie. His name is Scoot Henderson, and he's not performing well right now. Like for his first like few games, he's not doing great. But there was a picture of him circulating on the internet, just looking at like Russell Westbrook like dunking, and he's just like smiling at him, even though they're like playing against each other. Like he's smiling because like that's one of his heroes playing, and I think it's such like a wonderful reminder that it's like, as much pressure as there is to be great and be the best and all that stuff, just like the only reason like athletes would pursue it in the first place is because we just love the sport and we love the game. And I mean, in regards to like everything else, something I tell myself personally before I do anything, whether it's a podcast or doing stand up or music or whatever it is, right? I always tell myself like 50% of the people here support you either way, whether it's good or bad. The other 50% you'll never see again. So I kind of pretty much go into everything with
I
that.
like that.
And I feel like it's a good mentality, like just believe in yourself.
Well, and I think something that I've found interesting, and Spencer and I have talked about this a lot throughout the years, it's like, I don't think as many people who are become very good. So let's say like on the US ski team, for example, or at professional sports, there's a lot of kids that are just child prodigies. That it's not that they don't like the sport, but they might not have really actively chosen to participate in the sport. I find especially like the younger someone is to have success, the more likely that can be. Like I think with skiing, for example, you have parents that want to ski because they're skiers and now they have a kid, They signed their kid up for ski club. All of a sudden, this kid's really good at this sport, but they didn't actively choose to start skiing, really. They didn't actively choose to participate in the ski club and maybe even go to the little kid competition. That might have been all an active choice on the parents' part. All of a sudden, they have a lot of success. They run with it. They're sitting at the Olympics when they're 18 years old and they go, wait a second, like, am I here because I want it, because I love this sport, or am I just here because I'm really good at it? And so I think one thing that Spencer and I have been really able to leverage at times is that love, right? Like we both actively chose to be mogul skiers, to go to a ski academy, to compete in these mogul competitions. And then obviously as you go through the ranks, you're choosing at that point to keep going. And you're doing that because you love it. And so that's definitely something that I think is really helpful when you get to the end of your career like I am now, and you're still passionate, you still love it. And that's what fuels your fire to keep going. And it's not as much a job. But I do have teammates, and I think that people don't realize how common that actually can be, that kids don't necessarily love what it is that they're doing. And the second that they're done competing in it, they might never touch the basketball again or never put their skis on again. That storyline is honestly more common in professional athletics than I think it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so true.
That's kind of a sadder note, but
Yeah, it's true though. And honestly, I think that's kind of why I'm thankful. Like, my parents were never like huge into sports, because like everything I wanted to do for sports pretty much came from myself. Like, if I wanted to play basketball, it all came from me. And there was no like pressure to be great, because my dad was just like, I don't care, do good in school, like get good grades. My dad did not care about basketball one bit. But like if I asked him to like train me, like he would make sure to train me. He was a gym nut. So like, yeah, shout out to him. But yeah, it's a good mentality to have. And speaking of mentality, I feel like we touched on mentality a lot during this episode, but Max asked a question: what would you guys say the mentality is when you guys are like skiing, training, that sort of stuff? And I feel like we touched a lot on that already, but if you guys want to add anything.
I don't think there's much to add, but I think just to like sum up what Hannah said really well, actually, probably better than I could have explained it. It was just like when you have that pressure to compete and execute, and it always comes in waves. Like as you level up, you have to level up your game. It's like saying, okay, like I want to execute. Like it's the thing I want to do. Everybody does, right? And it's like there's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of stimulus, and like there's a lot of money involved, there's a lot of status involved. Um, how do I do it? And it's not as simple as just wanting it enough. It's like how do you mentally cleanse your mind? And I think Hannah's explanation of like finding that, like determining what your objective is, and then just saying, all right, like this is the 1, 2, 3 things I can do to get there. And it's preparation, it's rest. It's like, and it's different in every situation, but it's like figuring out like, what are the top 3 things I can do to get me there? And it's like, you just got to take that baby step. It's like, what's the baby step I can take to get closer to my goal? And then just take it, and then like finding the next steps. Like one step at a time really works. It's just so much harder done. It's so much easier said than done. And I don't think I did enough of it in my career, honestly. Not until like now that I'm working can I really say, oh, okay, like what's like the little thing I need to do to just like closely work towards my goal, like the 1% rule.
Yeah, I hear that. Hannah, you want to add anything at all, or?
yeah, I think what we talked about kind of sums it up perfectly. But I think it's also knowing that, like, something that I think about at training, it's like, what can I do today to be better tomorrow? And as Spencer just talked about, like that could be a 1% better. That could be even a 0.01% better. But it's like, how do I set myself up to better execute tomorrow? And if you treat every day like that, whether that's a training day on hill, in the off season in the gym, doing an extra rep, it could be stretching, honestly, in the gym. Like you're done with your workout, you're like I'm tired, to go this up, and you're like, do today to be better tomorrow. If I take 15 minutes to stretch or roll, whatever that might be, sit in a norm attack, might be better off tomorrow to then keep increasing incrementally. And then I think it doesn't feel as big of a burden necessarily. When you think about those big goals all the time, it's like, okay, well, I want it to be an Olympian. If every day I was just like I want to be an Olympian, like, okay, that's great. But like, what can I do today to be better tomorrow to, in the end, reach this longer term goal?
Yeah. And honestly, speaking of goals, this question comes from Evan. What would you guys say your next challenge is right now? Like, Hannah being done with the Olympics pretty much, and Spencer kind of being done with skiing overall. What would you guys say your next challenge is right now?
Being an adult, not my job not being to just work out all day, like that's definitely scary. Like when I think about being done skiing, it's obviously such a part of my identity. It's who I am. And so I think it's obviously going to be a hard transition out of sport and going into an office every day for the next 40 years of my life or whatever it is. Um, but something that I keep reminding myself is like, it's not that skiing's my identity. My identity is like I like to work hard. I like to be passionate about things. I do like to be have an active lifestyle, and I like to do things that I feel like are going to leave the world better than we found it, which was our high school's motto, basically. And I love that. And so for me, it's like without mogul skiing, I just need to find another modality to then put all of those character types into something. And so I think a lot of people our age go into work and they're like, well, how do I just make money, make a living, survive? And I think for people like us who we're grown up to want to be excellent at things and we really like the process to become great at something. It's not necessarily about just being great. I think people who are great tend to enjoy that process to get there. And so one of my mottos that I always repeat to myself whenever I do something is like, you can be great. It's not that you are great or you will be great. It's not a guarantee, but you can. And so when I think about that next phase in life and starting a career, well, what can I do to be great at something? Like, what is that process that I can bring to really enjoy what I do next in life? And little things too. Like I signed up to do a half Ironman in May. Like that's a good example where like I'm like swimming in the pool being like, you can be great, you're not gonna drown. Like little things like that. Like I enjoy the process of that stuff. Like I enjoyed the suffering to then reach this goal at the end of the day, even if it's a silly thing like completing a half Ironman. When I'm not qualified to probably do so next May. But like you know what I mean? Like that's the fun part. And so I try to remind myself that I have all those things in me. And without mogul skiing, yes, I'm going to lose the main modality that I use to be that person, but that's replaceable. All these traits that we've learned to be the people that we are, they stick with us even when mogul skiing might leave us.
Yeah, makes sense. And Spencer, what about you? What's your next goal? What's your next challenge?
So I guess as someone who's like 2 years farther down that path, like I stopped competing 2 years ago. I would say it's still my challenge. Is like that finding that transition, and it's like it's not that it's so hard where like I can't do anything. It's just that it's just like a constant. It's just the way I challenge myself to constantly grow. It's like I think the beauty of mogul skiing is that like every day is different, but there are bumpers and guardrails. Like what part of the training season you're in. You know where your next World Cup stop is. You know who your teammates are. Like, but now it's like it's hard to tell like what is that next baby step to reach that end goal. And like what is my end goal? Like I think like what Hannah said about making the world a better place and we found it. Like, yeah, like that's it. But how? Like how do I want to impact the world? And it's like there's almost like this analysis paralysis because there's so many different ways you can do it. And it's also like our mogul skiing community is so small. Everybody knows each other. Like everybody on the World Cup circuit. Like I never skied in the World Cup, but I still know them, and I still know a decent chunk of them, at least of the people on the U.S. team, and like in the Canadian teams. But in real world, it's like you're constantly meeting new people every single day, and then they will like about like 80% of the new people I meet, I'll never see again. And it's like, okay, like figuring out who are the people I want to be in my life, doubling down on those relationships. Who do I not want to be in my life? Figuring out how to like be the best I can be in that process. Like it's not easy. And I haven't been convinced that it gets any easier. I think you just learn how to deal with it better. So I don't know if there's like one single biggest challenge, but it really is just like, it's kind of like life in your 20s. It's like, you just got to figure out how to live, how to be a provider, how to take care of yourself and spread and be a good person while doing all of that. I think there's so much stress going on all around the world. It's really challenging. Like seemingly every day gets a little more stressful out there. But like, how do you smile through it all? Even if your world's burning, just try and have a good time.
Well, I think that comes back to like enjoying the process. It's like, it's not that you're necessarily doing anything quite yet. Like in the end, like to be like, oh, this is what I did to like make the world better than I found it. But it's like each day, are you just chipping away at that goal, even in the small things? And I think that's where like meditation, really like reflection and gratitude come into play, because you can realize like little things, even like being like, okay, you know what, I'd rather just sit on the couch right now, but I know if I get up and I clean the kitchen, I clean my area, I know I'm going to have a better brain space and thinking space because I'm not going to be cluttered physically. But it would be easier to sit on the couch. It's like, if you get up and you do that and you help yourself be better, it's like, honestly, realizing like that checks the box today. Like that was something. And I think that's the hard part leaving from sport that Spencer's alluding to, right? Like, you almost have to be more grateful for the little victories as you're phasing out from sport and building into something great again, the same way that we were when we were younger. But now that we're older and we saw what it really felt like to have ownership of something successful, it's hard to go back to the nitty gritty beginnings, but that's how anything great is built. It's like that strong foundation. We used to use this illusion when we were talking about moguls. It's like, to build a house, you have to have a strong foundation. And in that context, we're talking about fundamental skiing skills, in order to then get nitpicky about all the little things to make this beautiful home. That is your mogul skiing capabilities. But I think that's true in life, and the little victories I think people have to be grateful for. And as Spencer said, like, the world can be a dark, scary place. And I think bringing that mentality to your own life can alleviate some of that darkness at times.
Yeah, so I mean, on that note, cleaning my room for this episode.
You didn't even have to clean it. You just put that banner up. I'm not convinced.
Yeah, you just put a screen up.
Yeah, let him know. I'm cool. I'm cool with them knowing. Yeah, so I mean, this next question, because like now we're just gonna kind of go into a bunch of like skiing questions, like specifically. So this question comes from Nathaniel. He wrote, "Why does everyone teach newbie skiers the pizza technique? It almost broke my neck." Well,
That's hilarious.
any consultants?
You know, like,
I mean, it's scary to just put your skis downhill straight, and it's hard to know how to carve. So if you're in the pizza, you naturally have to carve. Like, that's what your instinct's gonna be. It's gonna like tilt your knee inwards and get on that inside edge, where it's like you can't really just tell people to go straight down the hill and in the French fry and then carve. They're gonna be like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So you teach them how to like wedge in that feeling of like getting on edge to slow down.
Yeah, like
would be my guess.
It feels like with the pizza, like if you fall, at least you fall slowly.
Yeah.
That was a good answer, Hannah. That was pretty technical.
Good answer.
Yeah, and also because like it's just simple. It's just pizza, French fry. Like, you pizza and French fry down enough trails, you will figure it out, or you'll just stop. But like, I like with skiing, there's so much growth in like your first 100 days learning it. It's like, and that's the challenge with skiing. Is like,
first 100 days, that could take someone like 3 or 4 years.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is like, you and I don't remember learning how to ski.
That's not gonna make him feel better.
But what I'm
like,
saying
give
is like,
him 5 years, you'll learn.
like we're lucky that I don't remember learning how to ski. Like I just knew how to ski. Like some of my earliest memories involve skiing. For someone new, it's kind of like it's like tackling any challenge. It's like you just need a certain amount of time on task, and like you learn with the pizza because that's your foundation. Like that learning about the edge, like what is a ski edge? I knew it was there, but I didn't actually like understand how the edges work till I was like 15 when I first started going to KMS. It was like someone pointed it out to me. Like Glenn Eddy was like, "Oh, like you gotta something about your downhill ski."
See those metal things on the side?
Yeah, literally. I was like, yeah, like I thought they were for show.
Like, oh.
Um,
If
so
it
like
makes him feel any better, we still do the pizza as a drill.
mm,
For probably different reasons, but basically the same reason though. It's like to learn how to like get on edge to slow you down.
what was that drill that Chris always made us do for the hip flexors?
The pizza drill.
No, I know, but what was it called? Was it just called the pizza drill?
I'm pretty sure we call it the pizza drill.
Okay.
I mean, that's like what you do, you know?
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
Your outer hips die though.
Yeah.
I mean, when Nathaniel watches this episode, I'm sure he's going to be super thankful for this advice. I think he's going to take the pizza more seriously now. So, as he should. So, this next question comes from Nate, and he asked, obviously this is open to both of y'all. What's the best mountain you've ever skied? You know, like where's the best path? Did I say that right? How? Like, is that
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
How? Yeah, that was some good slang there. That was good.
Hunter Mountain.
Oh my god, I hate you.
Yeah, I'll get over it. Hunter Mountain's the mountain I grew up skiing in Catskills, New York, and so there's a lot to say about that mountain. Will always hold a special place in my heart. Probably not the best mountain I skied though, but it's my favorite for different reasons. I would say, so I didn't ski the best POW here, but I got to go to Palisades Tahoe, formerly known as Squaw Valley, for 5 days for spring break 2 years. And it's actually the mountain that made me love skiing again because of NAR, because of just like the actual terrain. Because that was the first time I'd skied post competition that I felt really challenged in a way that I didn't know was possible to ski. Like I didn't know it was possible to feel. Like after I stopped competing, I kind of like divorced myself from skiing for a bit because I really lost the love for it. And I went to Palisades and I was with a bunch of guys from school on spring break. And it just so happened that like I would get lost by accident from them. And like I would just go ski off old videos of McConkey and the Gaffney bros jumping off of it. And there was no snow this year. So only 2 of the chutes were open. But I like hiked up it for the first time. And I was like, holy crap, like I'm a little puckered up right now. Like this is kind of really intense. And then like I went down main chute and I was like, it was main or final chute. I think it was main chute. It's like, wow, like that's steep. I got to do that again. And then I like hiked it 13 times in a row, just the main chute. That was like, and like from that second, it was like, holy crap, I forgot what this felt like. I don't need to compete to have this feeling. Like it was different because it was just a challenge of me against, oh, like, can I get down this? Like, and I truly like, I don't need a mogul course and jumps and to be judged to like be a good skier. Like some stuff you just got to get down. And that's kind of been like my new focus in skiing. It's just like finding how to have the most fun, which is like the NAR parts of it. And like, I don't know if we'll talk about it on this podcast, but Hannah and we just have a ridiculous ball skiing Killington in the spring. Like, it's just the most fun in the world, the best people. It's all about just like being goofy, having a good time, being with your family, vibes, making fun of each other. Like, that's really what skiing is supposed to be about. And then like the other aspect has been like finding steep stuff to ski and skiing it really well. But the best POW I ever skied was probably I don't know. I had some really good days at Killington this year actually, but it was winter. It was Winter Park last December. Just had a really good POW day there.
Hannah, what
Yeah,
about
I've had some really good Utah POW days. It's very light powder there, which can be like really fun. So like snowbird. I had some great powder skiing in April this year because nobody was really still skiing out there. Unlike Killington, where we have a lot of spring skiing going on, in Utah, a lot of people are kind of like, like I'm done. We've had a lot of snow this year. They had a great snow year. So nobody was on the mountain. I just got free refills every day. So that was definitely the best powder I skied this past year. But as Spencer was talking about, Palisades Tahoe is probably some of the greatest days I've ever had in my life. Unfortunately, we travel a lot for mogul skiing, but don't free ski all that much in these locations. Every once in a while on a blue moon, you'll get to go take a couple free ski runs if we're in a really cool place, like in Alpe d'Huez last year in France, to take a couple runs, because how can you not? But those events, you're really focused on making sure you're ready to execute and not fatigued because you went free skiing too much. But with that said, for me, free skiing is a huge secret weapon of mine because it really brings about that flow state for me. And as Spencer was talking about the spring, like really enjoying skiing. And sometimes in a confines of a mogul course, that can be hard to find, and you can get really stuck on those nitty gritties of how do you be at like that 1% better, and how do I get this trick to just be a little bit tighter and a little bit better execute it. And sometimes you forget that the best flow states to be in are ones where you're just like happy, you're excited, and you're enjoying what you're doing. And that comes through in your skiing. And for me, that'll really improve my overall run so much. So I will go do some free runs sometimes at events when I don't think anyone else in the nation would go do that. And I had a year at Deer Valley where I did that. Instead of training for finals, I went off and I did a free ski run up at the top of Deer Valley, and I came down and I got second that day. And it was one of those moments where you realize like you don't have to go about your sport necessarily in the way that everybody else does. And there's pluses and minuses to that, right? You kind of have to create your own path, which can take time to figure out what really works for you. But once I really nailed that down and just, said, you know what? My gut says that I should go probably ski the mogul course one more time because that's what everybody does and that's traditional avenue. But something in the back of my mind is saying like, I'd be better off going for a fun free ski run right now. And I realized for me, I just need to lean into that gut instinct and let it go. And that really helps me with skiing a lot. And it's nice when you're at a place with a lot of fresh powder to go have a nice free ski run.
And honestly, speaking of all these ski runs, like I'm sure you guys had like plenty in your lifetime. So this is why Ethan kind of asks, because he's curious, what would you say was the scariest moment you had going down a slope?
The scariest moment that I had going down a slope this past year was I got a concussion in Alpe d'Huez, France, where I went for a free ski run. I did a cork 7, I under rotated. It was the morning of the event, completely out for the count, like delusional. I'm laughing at everything that everyone says. It was not good. But the next day people were still competing. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to come out. I'm going to support the team. All I need to do is get down to the course. Now, I didn't want to put a helmet on my head because my head hurt. So I didn't want anything like confining it. And I just had to take one run down to the course, right? And I'm an Olympic skier. I can do that. So as I'm skiing down the side of the course to get to the bottom, this lady comes out of nowhere, slides, takes me out totally from underneath. I luckily fall. She goes underneath me, and I hold my head above the ground, so I didn't actually hit my head, which was amazing because I didn't have a helmet on and I got concussed the day before. That would have been worst case scenario. And our doctor, because I was really close to the bottom of the course, and our coaching staff saw it all happen. And they came running out to me and they were like, "Are you okay? Like, do we need, like, you need to leave right now?" I was like, no, it's okay. Like, I'm fine. But that was definitely like the scariest experience I've ever had. And I'm sure Spencer's probably includes another person. Because for us, like, if nobody's going to hit us, we're usually pretty competent. It's the other people that you can't control on the mountain that are like what's bringing the hazard to the sport for sure.
Yeah. I have like 3 that bubble up in my brain. None of mine involve other people, actually. It's just like doing really dumb things. like some of it is just like bad luck. Some of it is doing really dumb things, and some of it was just like a part of mogul skiing. So I would say like the scariest while competing is anytime you're about to try a new trick on snow. Like
Oh yeah.
anytime. Like I remember my first backflips on snow. It's like tunnel vision. You hear your heartbeat in your brain. Like people are talking to you, but you're not hearing words, and it's like the most ridiculous anxiety you've ever felt. And this is like what separates a lot of people in our sport is like some people really will not try the new trick on snow, and they really struggle with it. And then like that's because then they can't progress from there because they get jump anxiety disorder, and like learning I had to overcome my jab. And it's like it's like a real thing where like people get afraid to jump, and it's scary. Like some people love it. For me, it was always scary, but I just found a way to channel it. Anytime, like my first back full, my first cork 7, my first backflip, those tricks were scary. But it always comes back too, because I try to make a point to always flip on snow every year now, because it's a really cool party trick. And like the first one of the year, even the first one of the day, it's like it comes back, but it's an awesome rush. Like I love that adrenaline. Now I've like learned how to channel it into more of like the adrenaline junkie in me. Another one that happened was spring skiing at Killington, and there was a bunch of these kids from UVM that were like skiing grass and rocks, and I was like, why? But I'm a sucker for a camera, and there's a camera guy with them, and they're like, yeah, we're doing this. You're coming with us, right? It's like, okay, obviously I'm coming too. And I guess like this, like I wasn't wearing a helmet. None of us were. And just like after it, like looking down when I was skiing and seeing all the sharp rocks and knowing that like, okay, like if I fall, like it's like not pretty. Like I'm moving fast, jagged rocks. Like I could lose more than just my teeth or like my eye. Like it could be bad. And like after it, I was just like, all right, like I'm not doing that again. That was dumb. I got lucky. And then there was just like another equally dumb. This one wasn't dumb at Palisades, just like was skiing bumps, and I caught an edge and almost went straight into a tree. And I was alone. Like I was literally just soul skiing alone on that same trip. And I was like, wow, like I was just like Hannah can attest to this. Like sometimes you could just catch an edge. Like they're like, and these things just happen to people. Like I would have gone straight into this big tree, been in the tree well. Who knows what would have happened? I was wearing a helmet, but like sometimes things just happen, and like it was like, whoa, like you're human.
Yeah,
Don't be dumb,
that's true.
or try not to be.
I will say this: one time I was very dumb myself because we're actually gonna get into this in a second. I'm a snowboarder personally, not pro or anything, but like
That's
that's
fine.
yeah. I feel like it's not the way you're looking at me right now. It's like, yeah, that's fine.
We'll
That's
let
fine.
it slide.
Yeah, no,
Just for
but
you, Edit.
no, but so yeah, one time I was snowboarding with my friends, and normally because like I'll just like kind of go straight down the mountain. I won't do like ramps or tricks or anything like that. Normally, I won't take a helmet because like I'll pretty much be fine in that instance. But then one time I went with my friends and they went down like a slope that had a bunch of ramps and boxes and stuff like that. And they were just like, "Oh, you sure you don't want a helmet?" I was like, "No, man, I'm good. I never get a helmet." Horrible mistake. I went on one box,
Oh,
literally fell backwards, hit the back of my head like that. And like up to that point, I was falling every 2 seconds because like I rented like the wrong board. So I was falling every 2 seconds, and they kept asking me like, "Are you good? Are you good?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, I'm fine, totally. Keep going." Right. And then I hit this box and they're just like, "Dude, are you okay?" And I'm just like, "Yeah, I think this might be my last run though." Like I make it down slowly to the bottom of the mountain. And then by the time I get down, I like stop for a second and like sit at a table to like check my phone, like see if I got any texts or anything like that. All I see are spots.
no.
Straight up. All I see are spots. Somehow, some way I make it back to the cabin that we're staying at that night. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm good. I'm just gonna like chill for a second. It's like I ended up being fine, thank God. But like
Oh my god,
most
I hate
likely
that.
but we live and we
Yeah,
learn.
that'll happen.
Yeah, we live
You
and we
live and you learn. Helmets. Helmets, people.
Helmets every time from now on. It's only $10. Like, it's only $10 to.
You like just worth it.
Yep, 100% worth it. So yeah, this actually goes to my next question. This comes from Yoel. Honest opinion of snowboarders.
I used to be
I
like
like
really
them. They kind
anti.
of groom the moguls.
I used to be very anti snowboarders, and then I like just as a kid, like just like funny kid stuff. Like us mogul skiers were like, oh, like racers or anybody who wasn't mogul skier was just dumb. Like we couldn't understand why anybody wouldn't want to ski moguls because it's just the coolest, best thing in the world. And like racers had to wear tights and spandex and they did the same stuff every single day and they didn't look like they were having fun. Snowboarders weren't skiers, so that was a problem. And then they weren't mogul skiers. But now it's just like, however you get out there and have a good time, that's what's important. Just like, because like skiers can be jackasses too. So just like have fun. That's all that matters.
Yeah, that's true. Hannah, what were you saying before you kind of got blocked off by?
Oh, I was saying that snowboarders who ski the moguls kind of group the moguls out, which I kind of like. Like they kind of like slip the tops of the moguls for us. And we have some fun snowboarder friends in our little ski groups, and they're great. So I'm with Spencer. Like whatever gets you out there. Telly skiing, love telly skiers. Any telly skier out there, you know you're gonna like them. They're always a good vibe.
What's a telly skier? What do they do?
Telly skiers like skiing normal, except for the fact that your heel comes up. So you went into telly skiing, didn't you, Spencer, for a second there?
Yeah, and then COVID happened.
Ah.
So teleskiing, it's like you get to release the heel of your boot, like Hannah said. And what it does is like it's just a different type of skiing. Like I went
Like
on
lunging.
skis. It is like lunging. Like I had to it was like I was learning how to ski again. Like the principles were the same, but the way you turn is very different. You use different muscles, it's a different motion. Straight up just feels weird. But kind of like if you're a good telly skier, like they are probably the best skiers in the mountain just because of the strength and talent and skill that you need to be a great telly skier. There's this one guy who skis Killington in the spring. His name is Matty Marks, and he's like doing amazing things on telly skis that people couldn't do on normal skis. And there's just like a lot of really fantastic telly skiers out there.
I mean, yeah, I mean, like, I feel like if your heel is like completely free from the ski, I feel like your calves have to be insane. Like, at least, like that sounds nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's dope. And I'm not sure you guys know this, but the way the show works is every episode I ask the first question, I also ask the last question, and that last question always is if you had to give one piece of advice to the people watching, what would you say?
Like, just
I think
life
piece
advice.
of life advice. I think my life advice would be what I was kind of saying earlier. My mantra, like you can be great. I think we're all capable of being great at something. It's just about figuring out what it is that you want to be great at and what your process is to do that. But I think counting yourself out of things too soon is definitely something I think we all fall into, especially when we're trying new things. And I'm actually reading this book called The Power of Quitting right now, which is kind of talking about that space that I'm kind of talking about right now, where it's like, how do you not count yourself out as something that you really care about and like keep pushing through, but also not staying with something too long, to the point that you're like not happy anymore and you're not as great at it or it's not what you want to be. So you're reducing your productivity levels. But I think it's believing that you can be great. And so trying a lot of different things. And if it's something you really care about, like sticking with it and powering through. Spencer and I have seen like different levels. Like there's been points where I was like, you know what? I really think I could go to the Olympics someday. Then there's other parts of me where like there were certain years where you're like, like I just don't think that's gonna happen. And obviously now that we can see the future, it did work out, and you kind of have to ride these waves and really just believe in your own inner will once you find the thing that you want to be great at.
That's beautiful. Spencer, you got anything? You got anything to
I think
comment?
what Hannah said was great, but also just smile too. Like
Mhm.
it's hard. It can be really hard, but I think just like trying to be happy, trying to like do right by other people too, whatever that looks like. And
Mhm.
like we're all human, so it's impossible to do all the time. But like if you have an opportunity to do what you think a good person would do it. Why not? It's not going to hurt you.
Just
Yeah,
do.
I love that because I think one other thing, like to touch on Spencer's point there, it's like having empathy for other people. Like as someone who seemingly lives this glorified life, right? Like traveling the world on the World Cup tour, like getting to go to all these amazing places, these amazing people. It's not all glory the whole time, right? Like as Spencer and I have kind of talked about, like it's a lot of focus. Like I don't free ski at these venues. You just ski one run over and over again, and you're just kind of constantly being critiqued at the bottom of the course. And not to say that I don't love that, but it's not like, I think people on social media these days can really make it look like, oh, this is this glamorous life, and you just get free things, and you get a free car, and it's just all so great, right? And then you can feel maybe not as great about your position in life. So I think taking in social media with a grain of salt, but more from a side of empathy, I would say, and like understand like everyone has their own battles that they're fighting, and just being empathetic to that, and also just like enjoying and smiling at where you are in your own life, in your own process, and don't build up all these people on social media that you see to have these amazing lives, and you just want to do that because it's really not about the end goal. Like for example, the Olympics, the end goal, like yes, it was an amazing moment, but it was a moment in time. The process to get me there was my entire life, right? So you have to enjoy the process in life and not just be like, oh, I'm going to be happy when I reach this outcome, or I get this car, or I get this job. You really want to smile in the process of those moments because the outcome is fleeting and it's temporary even if you achieve it.
Mhm. End of the day, strive for greatness, but trust the process. So, Hannah, Spence, thank you guys so much for coming on. I appreciate you guys so much. If you all back home love this episode, make sure to like and subscribe. If you want to, be in touch with what's going on with the show, if you want to ask questions for the next guest, follow all the socials. The links are down below. If you want to see what Hannah and Spence got going on, I'll add their links down below as well. And on that note, this has been Hannah Soar, Spencer Belsky. My name is Ed in Toronto. 4's up for Ben, and I'll see you guys next week.
Ah.
Ah.
Yeah.